Hello everyone, history buffs. Welcome to my channel. We are going to talk about a battle so unbelievable that if Hollywood screenwriters saw it, they'd say, no way, that's just too much. On one side, the invincible power of the Middle Ages, war elephants with their armor and poisoned tusks. On the other side, flaming camels set on fire, running towards them in panic and terror. Yes, a battle so hard to believe it sounds like a sci-fi animation, but it's completely real. Today we'll discuss the terrifying flaming camels plan used by Timur, a man who made his name in world history with his intellect and ruthlessness during his Indian campaign. Grab your tea, grab your coffee, sit back, because we are heading to the gates of Delhi in the year 1398. The year is 1398. Emir Timur, also known as Tamerlane, has a massive empire behind him and has arrived at the gates of Delhi, India, a place that could be called a paradise on earth with its riches. Until that day, the world had never witnessed Timur's defeat. His horse archers were legendary, his tactics perfect and unstoppable. However, when they faced the army of the Delhi Sultan Mahmud Shah, they encountered a situation that made the blood of even Timur's fearless soldiers run cold. War elephants. Friends, imagine for a moment being a soldier of that era. Standing before you are 120 monsters, giants you've perhaps never seen in your life, with powerful armor and poisoned fangs. They stand there as living panzers, massive in size, covered in thick chainmail with giant poisoned swords attached to their tusks. There are archers in the towers on their backs, and the elephants are trained to grab soldiers with their trunks and hurl them. Are the soldiers the only ones afraid? No. Timur's undefeated horses are absolutely terrified the moment they smell the elephants and see their colossal size. They rear up and refuse to calm down. Timur's staff is in a panic. Commanders are rushing in and out of the tent saying, "Sire, we cannot fight these monsters. Our horses are throwing us off before we can even get close. Let us retreat before it turns into a disaster." For the first time, grumbles and panic-filled whispers driven by fear rise in Timur's army. But wait. The man we are talking about is Timur, who has dismantled known battle strategies one by one. Surrender is not in his dictionary. That night, in the darkness of his tent, he isolates himself and thinks endlessly. If you cannot defeat the enemy, how do you turn their greatest strength into their biggest threat? Right at that moment, one of the strangest yet most brilliant tactics in history is born. Timur orders the gathering of all non-combat baggage camels in his army. The commanders are bewildered. Is our Sultan going to make camels fight elephants? They wonder to themselves. But Timur's plan is far more inhuman. He has every bit of straw, dry hay and firewood in the army loaded onto the backs of these camels, and he lines the camels up at the very front of his army, almost like a shield. The next morning the war horns sound. The Delhi Sultan, brimming with confidence, unleashes his greatest trump card, the massive armoured elephants upon Timur, and every elephant step feels like an earthquake. As the elephants march, Timur's soldiers feel like their hearts are going to burst out of their chests. When the elephants get close enough, Timur gives the critical order: light the camels. With their torches, the soldiers set fire to the dry hay and wood on the camels' backs, and they prod the camels from behind with spears. Just imagine the scene. Hundreds of camels carrying fireballs on their backs and running for their lives start charging towards the massive elephants with screams of agony. The elephants, those giant panzers with thick armor and poisoned fangs. No matter how well trained they are, because they are animals in the end, their instincts take over, and just as they would in their natural habitats, they are deathly afraid of fire. When they see this bizarre army of screaming, flaming creatures charging right at them, the elephant's psychology is completely shattered. The elephants suddenly stop and try to turn back. Panic, of course, is like herd mentality. One taking the first step triggers the rest, especially if panic sets in among 120 war elephants, the greatest power of the battle. The elephants start running backward, right into their own army. The Delhi army's greatest weapon, with camels right behind them, suddenly turns into their own catastrophe. The elephants hurl the soldiers on their backs, crush their own infantry, and the poisoned swords on their trunks mow down their own troops. The battlefield literally turns into hell. Without swinging a single sword, Timur's army watches the destruction of the enemy's front lines by their own elephants. Through those massive gaps opened by the elephants, Timur's cavalry dives into the Indian army like lightning. The result? The Delhi Sultanate's army is torn to shreds in an absolute victory. Mahmud Shah barely saves himself and flees. Timur takes Delhi, one of the greatest and wealthiest cities in history, using his camels. This event shows us how military history is shaped not just by brute force or numbers, but by psychology and intellect. Timur's flaming camels are one of the most ingenious, ruthless yet effective examples of turning the enemy's strength against them. What do you think? Was Timur's tactic a stroke of genius or purely luck? Let's meet in the comments. If you want to see more of these mind-blowing historical stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Stay curious. Goodbye.